sound you hear are two 500-gallon bilge pumps draining water from our port side hull. How did we get this much water into our boat mid-passage where typically water is supposed to be outside the boat? Stick around to see how this all came about and how this plays out. There was a loud bang and something just broke. Hi, we're the James family.
Are you sick of your day-to-day life? Ever thought about doing something different?
Well, we did just that.
We bought an unfinished aluminium catamaran and we're fixing her up as we sail around the world.
Come along for the journey and click subscribe.
Daddy? Mommy? Charlie? James.
Sadly, it's time for us to leave this tropical island paradise. The difference between when we arrived and when we are leaving today is the tides. When we arrived, the sun wasn't actually up yet, so you couldn't really see the reef, but it was high tide, and it was a 2.8 metre high. So generally speaking, with these reefs around Queensland, if you have about a metre, and then your draft on top of that, you'll be able to float over any coral. So here, when I was looking at it, about 0.7 is when the reef started to dry. So 0.7 and over, you'll be able to float over most of this coral. So it added a considerable element of safety. This morning, the tide is low tide, and the sun isn't up yet either, but we will not miss the Bommies. We will not float over top of them. So we're just going to have to be a lot more careful leaving. We'll have Kate up on the bow, and yeah, we'll get ready and go.
Alright, so it's time to drop the mooring. You coming, Frank? He's coming. Just cleaned off my good sunnies so I can see some Bommies. And this is going to be a lot more adventurous than coming in. We could float over everything when we came in if I didn't see anything, and now it's just a little bit more element of like adventure. After dropping the mooring, it's time for us to be on Bommy watch. This lagoon is peppered with coral Bommies all around. Some deep and harmless, and we can float right over, while others sit close to the surface and will not be so forgiving, especially now at low tide. The entrance itself adds a bit of a challenge too. With just one red marker, two green markers, and an isolated danger on the inside, it's a tight squeeze. Only enough room for one sailboat to pass in or out at a time. But hey, a little adventure keeps things exciting, right? As always, we will stay sharp and embrace the beauty of this journey. This first half of the section of the lagoon, it's not only Bommies, it's also mooring balls, because there's quite a few public mooring balls here, so it's also just going through that field, navigating through all of them. There's no boats on them at the moment, so it's a bit harder to spot. And then once we're out of the mooring balls and the Bommies, then it's just the Bommies to worry about. Bommy, off to our port!
Roger, hold train to starboard.
There's the Bommy there. Don't know if you guys will be able to see it. This, probably better with the sunnies.
So with this departure, not only is the reef nice and shallow, but the tide has started to come in. Now, with all of these small reef entrances, once the tide is past half full, there's not much tide actually going in and out of the small entrances because it flows over the top of the reefs. But while we're at the lower tide here, we are going to have to push a fair bit of current going out this slight gap here. And what that means is you just got to be a little bit more careful on the wheel, because if you veer off, you've got more revs on, everything's happening a lot faster when you're pushing the tide. You can go into the coral edges so much quicker. So it's surprising if you've got the tide with you and things start to go wrong. Generally speaking, you could just go into neutral and the natural tidal flows will keep you off the coral on the edges. But when you're going against it, that's just simply not the case, because you have to have momentum, and then it's really up to you to get us out. So it's going to make this exit just a little bit more adventurous than when we come in. Yeah, we should be right, and then we'll be off to our next destination.
There's a Bommie off to our starboard as well. You guys might want the sunnies as well. Just passing it now. The sunnies make a huge difference, the polarized, to be able to see the difference between the water and the coral. You can see it a lot better. Alright, we're coming up to the isolated danger mark, and then right over here is the entrance, so we're coming up to the most tightest part. Slightly having a heart attack. We're passing between the reef and the isolated danger, then making a sharp left turn into the entrance. I am so grateful to have Sam, who is calm and collected, behind the wheel, because I'll admit, I'm feeling a little nervous right now. We're almost out. These two markers here, the red and the green, right up ahead, we have got to aim for those two. That's the tightest part of the entrance, and those markers are on the reef, so there's not much margin for error. All right, we're out. We're out of the lagoon. Heart attack over. All right, now that we're out, we've just opened up the bag and we're gonna get ready to haul the main. Alright, goodbye, Lady Musgrave.
If the weather allows, we'll definitely be back.
Yes, we will. This has been one of the most fantastic places.
Just say bye-bye, Lady Musgrave, Charlie. Bye-bye.
Today we are off to Bundaberg, a charming town on the east coast of Australia, known for its world-renowned Bundaberg rum. Alright, we just ordered course to port. We're going to be putting one of the Daggerboards down. We thought navigating through the Bommies and out of the lagoon today would be our main challenge on today's sail. But little did we know, just moments later, we'd hear a surprising sound on the port side. There was a loud bang and something just broke. What's just happened?
So I was putting the Daggerboard down in order to heat the boat up and just go that little bit quicker, and the actual rope, the downhaul on the Daggerboard broke. So what we've got here is you've got your block, and then what there was is there was a U-bracket welded onto this stainless pad here, and it's snapped off. We're kind of lucky it's happened here in Australia where it's easier to fix. Overseas I'd have to jerry-rig something up. But what we have found is the front has been broken for a very long time. You can see it all there, none of that is fresh. But on the back, it also had been broken a fair bit, and we've just snapped off the last little bit. So it was due to give way anyway. It's always, for me, a successful sale is a sale where we don't break anything and it doesn't cost us anything. But this isn't too bad, and we'll be able to get it fixed when we hit the port we're going to, which is Bundaberg.
What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers. We're living. We're dreamers. We're doing this in our way. We come alive in the nighttime. Something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes, it tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive.
There's a bird out there hitchhiking. Go do your job, Frank. Did you finish your job? Alright guys, we're coming up to Bundy now. We've just put the head sail away, and now we're going to turn and we're going to drop the main, and then we're going to motor on in up the creek. It's also time to bring the portside Daggerboard back up. This is the last time this Daggerboard is coming back up until we can fix the downhaul part that broke today. And it's onwards into the Burnett River and up to Bundaberg. The water doesn't usually look like this, but the region has had a heap and heap of rain lately, which has caused the water to take on this vivid brown color. It was at this point, when we dropped the anchor and encountered some unfavorable conditions, that we made the decision to pull the anchor right back up and get out of Bundy. There will be more on this shortly.
So we've decided that Bundaberg isn't the right fit for us right now. Our plan was to spend a night there. We heard there's some mangoes there, and then we were going to go right up into the town centre, into the town reach, and check out the city of Bundaberg. But as soon as we started coming into the creek here, we thought maybe it wasn't a good idea. And what's happened is they've had a whole heap of rain in here, and it's washed a whole heap of debris, and there's a really strong surface current. And essentially, when we went and dropped the anchor, what we encountered was a surface current going one way, another current underneath going the other way, and the wind going the other way again. And we were just doing crazy circles, with the chain actually rubbing on the hull at one point there. And that was the final straw for me, and that's when I thought, nah, we got to get out of here. But it just would have equated for not a very good night's sleep. Not that I'll get one now anyway, because we're going down to Harvey Bay. But also, it would have probably meant that going into the town centre was out of the question with that amount of tide and with the chance of debris and that in the water and stuff. So we're steaming out of Bundaberg Harbour right now, and we're going to make our way down to Harvey Bay. When we get a little bit closer, we've got a few things there that we're going to encounter, and we'll have to alter our plans because we will be entering at night. But I'll have a chat to you guys about that a little bit closer.
Neither of us woke up this morning thinking this is going to be our most exciting sail ever. We've broken a block on the Daggerboard, we've had heaps of current and tide in Bundy causing us to sail all over and have the chain rub the hull, and now, just as we exited the channel, the bilge alarms are starting to go off.
Wow, what has let go here? It's still running now. Hear it.
This bilge compartment runs from the engine room all the way forward. Luckily, there are two 500-gallon bilge pumps, and with them both running, they are able to keep up with the amount of water pouring in.
So we just had the bilge alarm go off when we were leaving Bundaberg. Could have been decided to stay at Bundaberg, but not real sure. We're committed to leaving now anyway. We lifted up the floorboards on the starboard side, or Kate did, and there was water in the bilge there, and we're like, gosh darn it. It tastes a little bit fresh, and we have had dramas with the bladder on that side, so we're not sure whether it's that or not. Then she lifted up the floorboard on the port side, and there was a lot more water. And so...
It was a lot of water.
Yeah, it's going to be a real pain to clean out, but essentially what's happened is we've got PSS seals on the shafts, and what that means is you've got a rubber boot, a ceramic seal at the front, and then you've got a stainless flat thing that goes onto your shaft here that presses up against the rubber boot, and that stainless thing here, the grub screw, and that has let go and it's moved forward, and that was letting water flow in through the stern tube. So I'm about to get changed into some old clothes, crawl past the hot engine, sweat away, and fix it, hopefully. Yeah, and then have a look at the other side and see why there's water there. So generally speaking, our bilges are bone dry, so it's unusual. The alarm went off and they were both wet. Yeah, never a dull moment.
Alright, from running around the boat, the bilge alarm's going off, water ingress, figuring out what's going on. We've also popped the head sail. We've turned off both engines. Hey friend. And right now both engines are off and Sam is downstairs in the port side fixing what the issue is.
Coming into the Great Sandy Straits is really easy at night. It's really, really well lit. But what does make it a little bit interesting is the professional and recreational fishing apparatuses that are out. The spanner crab dillies, crab pots, and all that kind of stuff. And they're usually all in and around the sandbanks. Generally speaking, if we're coming into the Sandy Straits, depending on the tide, I would just do a straight line, skip all the banks, and head straight on in. But tonight I'm going to be doing the main shipping lane. There's a cruise ship that comes up here, or several different cruise ships that visit Kingfisher Bay Resort on Kigari or Fraser Island there, and we're going to be taking their route, and hopefully that's going to be clear of all sorts of fishing traps and bits and pieces as we come on in. If not, the day will get even more adventurous for you. So at the moment we're running only on our starboard engine. The port engine should be fine to run. That's the one that the PSS sail let go on. But when I was down there, for the size shaft we have and the size boot we have, the compression is meant to be 20 mil or 2 centimeters. I'm not quite sure what that is in inches. 3/4 of an inch, something like that. and I could only get half that because I didn't have leverage bars or anything down there. So tomorrow I'll have to go down there and just loosen it off again, reef it all the way up to where it's meant to be, set the tensions. I'll double check the other side. What there is there's a grub screw, and then there's a locking grub screw that goes on top of that, and there's two grub screws and 2 locking grub screws, and they all came loose. So I don't know if I need to get some Loctite. There wasn't Loctite on them when I took them off. Maybe I didn't do them up tight enough, I'm not really sure, but we've done a bit of motoring and they've only just let go now, so it's slightly unusual. But tomorrow I'll have a good play with it when the engine's cool and crawl around with it, and if I find anything out I'll let you know.
With the PSS seal fixed, we enjoyed a peaceful, uneventful night sail down to Fraser Island, where we dropped the anchor at 1 a.m. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button and leave us a comment below. It helps us out heaps and we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you all same time next week.